Burnout is a very common problem that my people come to me with, and I've certainly had it before as well. And the thing is, recovering from burnout once you get there really takes a long time because your nervous system is fucked. Once you get to that point, it takes a long time to build yourself back up to a healthy equilibrium. So this is one instance in particular where prevention is really the way to go, and prevention is boundaries of steel.
Reminder, you did not come here to play someone else's game, to box yourself in, or to let fear guide your choices. You came here to experience joy and abundance and to love the shit out of your life. The Trajectory podcast is here to remind you of a few important truths. 1, you are the creator of your reality. 2, anything that you can dream or imagine, you can create. 3, following passion is the quickest way to align you with your true path. 4, your reality is always a reflection of your current thoughts and beliefs, and those thoughts and beliefs can be changed at any time. You are amazing, and it's time to own who you really are. Tune in weekly to be reminded that you can create the life that you're dreaming of and to learn exactly how to do it. Get inspired by those who have been bold enough to follow their passions and have created their dream life because of it. If you're ready to stop playing small, stop holding yourself back, and start aligning with your trajectory, let's do it. We have an amazing human who has been very fascinating to me from the other side of the world with us today. Her name is Rachel Strickland. And before we introduce Rachel properly, I want to tell you a little bit about what she does because I'm so fascinated and there's so many questions I want to ask. So Rachel is a performing artist. She is a creative mentor. She's an award-winning choreographer and a development coach to artists and creative entrepreneurs. She began her study of circus arts in 2007, developing a unique style with the aerial hoop, and her work has brought her international recognition. She is also the director of the Audacity Project, which is designed to equip artists and creatives with the tools necessary to be working professionals, which I think is so important. Oh my gosh, we got to get into that. And she's been featured in Authority Magazine and Thrive Global and presented her stories on stages worldwide. Rachel's passion is all around creation, and I love that. She's not boxing herself in, not one little bit, and supporting creatives to pursue their most authentic work. So we have a lot in common. So how are you going, Rachel? Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's been so long since someone said, "How are you going?" It makes me miss my Aussies.
I love that. I love that you know that.
Great.
I love that you've got a history with Australia. That's so rare. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I've spent quite a bit of time always in Perth, which surprises people because they're like, not Sydney or Melbourne, Perth.
Yeah.
In the middle of nothing. You're like,
Desert
yep,
land. Right. I haven't even been there much. Mm-hmm. I've been there once, I think.
Beautiful place. Great beaches, great people.
Oh, that's good to hear. Good to get that feedback. And no, yes. It's not just a myth. There actually are some good people here in good old Oz. So, Rachel, honestly, like I said, and your bio sort of tapped onto so many things. A few of the things that I'm really passionate about, yeah, that's good, passionate about, I'm a pash about this, is artists for artists, and especially artists like yourself who have seen what's required for artistic and creative people to actually sort of get their shit together, in a sense, to be able to function in the business world, because it's not always such an easy hand-in-hand sort of thing for creatives. At least that's been my experience. Indeed. And also working with other creatives, it's like we always find these common themes that we kind of, we've got that sensitive side, and it's a little bit harder to just function and be really structured when some people will go, why, look, it's so easy to just do this and then do this and then you've got a business and you've got this. And artists are kind of like, yeah, but there's so many colors and so many ways and so many emotions. And so the work that you're doing is really important. And I'm so grateful that there are people doing what you're doing to help artists. So before we get into the Audacity Project, and you're so welcome, before we get into that, I'd like to talk about what is a, in quotes, normal week look like for you? Because you have created the life that you've wanted on your terms, and that's why I wanted to talk to you. So give me a bit of a sense of what does a week look like for you? It
depends greatly on what's coming up, right? It's the same quite a lot. But I am a big believer in seasonal work, right? And if I'm on, or I have a a cycle of the Audacity Project going, which is it's actually 9 weeks, and I know I'm going to be at my desk a lot. Then I take my calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I teach the class as well on Tuesdays, Thursdays, so that's when I get face-to-face time with people that I'm working with. And Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I have office hours until 12, and then I get out of the office. The office is in my house. Like this is my house.
Love it.
And go do other things, usually the gym, or I go train or do any kind of creative research or whatever else needs to be done. So those boundaries are what keeps me sane.
It's so true as well. That's something, with the creative mind. The boundaries, I think initially for me, when I was younger, I sort of looked at boundaries as restrictive, but they're actually so freeing. And the discipline, when you actually sort of
you
give
really
yourself
start to
those
appreciate
parameters.
them.
Yeah, you're like, oh, okay, it's good, it's good. Otherwise, like, I have a free day and I have 17,000 projects I want to work on. I have so many ideas. I have so many things I can do. And it's like, where do I start? And I just drive myself crazy. So boundaries are becoming my best friend.
And then nothing gets done.
Oh yeah, big lot of nothing, and then a lot of stress, and then a lot of why don't I do anything? It's just like, oh my gosh, what just happened? So yeah, boundaries, they're beautiful. So
it's a lovely thing.
Yeah. Can I ask, when was there a specific point where you sort of had that light bulb moment and went, I need to start helping other artists, get their lives together and learn how to function in the business world? Was there like a specific thing that happened to you, or was it just more of a natural progression?
It was a very natural progression. People tended to approach me with questions. I don't know why. Maybe because I would actually answer them and was eager to, because I also saw what happened when young or emerging artists didn't get answers to their questions. The mistakes are not surprising. They happen, it's the same mistakes. They happen over and over. You can see it coming like a train wreck. It was like, this is not, we don't need to be sitting here watching all these train wrecks and this progression. We should be communicating with each other. And communicating with each other was not in vogue when I first started training. There was it was kind of a closed community. It was very protective, and for good reason. But I feel that's changed quite a lot. So I just started doing the thing that I was already doing, which is being available to people who wanted to know whatever. And I spoke to a hand balancer. She was talking to me and she was asking and saying some of the things that make me realize, like, oh, I know things that can help this artist. And it was a really kind of a scary moment because you don't want to appear patronizing to anyone. But I said to her, I am testing out a new program for artists where I walk them through the answers to some of the questions that you're asking me, and I'd like to test it out. If you'd like to be my guinea pig, I'd love to have you. Beautiful. And she said, thank you. And then I didn't hear from her for 2 days. I'm like, oh, that's okay. And then she emailed me and she was like, yeah, I want to do this. Let's do this. And her name is Anna Kay, and she's amazing. And I actually got to see her perform once in San Francisco before she moved away to train with superstars.
Big tan gal.
And that's how it started.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. I love that. And it definitely, it radiates from you. You've got this confidence about you where you're an artist, but you've got that logical mind as well, it seems. Anyway, I'm just getting to know you, but I'm assuming. And even from your socials and stuff, it's so you do feel like a safe space. So I'm not surprised that this started to just happen naturally. And we need more of this. This is really exciting. I think this is such an underrated area that people really need help with. What, when it comes to artists, what do you think is the biggest, from your experience working with so many, what's the biggest mindset block or the limiting belief that's always, what makes it so synonymous with artists and struggling, the struggling artist story? Why is that so prevalent? What's the deal with that, do you think?
Well, one is that if art were easy, everyone would do it. If it felt good to do all the time, no question, everyone would all the time. But it doesn't always feel good. And if you take on a bigger project, you're going to you're going to suffer at some point. It's not just going to be the inspirational stage. And so I think that's sort of part of why the idea that artists suffer comes from. It's not really true. Like, they suffer because everyone suffers, and art is a hard thing to do. So it's challenging to make art. But that's it. There's nothing definitive about being an artist that condemns you to suffering.
Yeah.
But let's see. I think that what was your original question? The biggest mindset
Yeah,
block?
what are or limiting beliefs that, like, with the clients that you've worked with, are you seeing any patterns where they're sort of all telling themselves a similar story that's keeping them limited? Oh, yeah, that's a big yes.
Majorly. big nodding. Yeah, there's lots of repeating themes, and of course everyone's different, and also no one is so unique that no one can understand where you're coming from. Right? Imposter syndrome is a big thing that comes up, and I think it wears many masks and many hats, and lots of things end up underneath that umbrella. I think recovering people pleasing and recovering perfectionists. I tend to get a lot of all of these. Also, no surprise, almost all of my audience is femme, trans, and queer.
Yeah, right. Wow. I as you're listing them, I'm like, yep, check. I've got all of those things. Like, the people pleaser one in particular has been coming up lately. Like, wow, like, it really had to focus on that the last couple of years. And I've had to spend, like, we were chatting briefly before we started how we've both sort of moved back to our hometown. And in my case, I've moved back to a town where I didn't have contact with many people for the last, 13 years, except for my family. So I've moved back here, and it's all a beautiful, familiar space, but there's not like a tribe here with me. Like, all my tribe is sort of people that I talk to online, and, I can call them and stuff like that, but they're not physically near me. So spending so much time alone has been the biggest gift that I could possibly ever have given to myself. And I swear I want to, like, go on a rant for months or years about this, and, like, try and encourage people to just spend more time alone, because the people pleaser side in particular,
sister.
It just becomes, the things become so loud, right? It's such a gift to yourself to be able to just become your number one and understand the different sides of you that have been holding you back. And you don't really notice it until you step back and you sort of recalibrate. And then when you step back into group scenarios or back into old patterns with the same sort of people, and you notice yourself doing things, and your body has an instant reaction, and you're like, well, for the last 2 months I've been chilling by myself and I haven't had this reaction. I've been feeling great, and now I'm doing this thing. And it just becomes so, like, just obvious how much I was people pleasing. I was putting every single person and their dog, and why not? Dogs are the best. Above
of course,
me.
the dog.
Yeah, the dog first. But yeah, it just like, it really, and it was affecting my art. Like, that was a really big thing for me. I took almost 5 years off music because I wasn't feeling able to express myself, because it was constantly, I was just a shadow of me, basically. So yeah, that's sort of comforting to know that
filled of
shell life.
Yeah. Shell life. You end up being a husk filled with other people's expectations.
That's such a good way to put it. Such an artistic way to put it.
You were probably really, really good at it too, and it probably worked really well. Like, people loved being around you, and they're like, oh yeah, get Sarah. She's amazing.
Oh yeah,
like, you are amazing, but not for the reasons they thought.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I work with cameras as well, so everyone wants everything filmed these days. So it was always, oh, Sarah, can you do this for me for free? Can you do this for me? Oh, of course. I don't need to get paid for my time and all the studies that I've put into this. Why? That's crazy. Anyway, yeah, could rant about that for hours, but I'm very, very glad to know that there are people like you who are working with people through these challenges. So how about in your scenario, how do you keep your art pure when you do mix with business so much? Like, are they two separate things to you? Are they just a synonymous sort of flow, or, how do you keep it pure?
I loved this question when you sent it to me, because I don't think it's pure at all. I don't think there's anything pure about my work, because the intersection of art and commerce has been a constant throughout my career, and I know not everyone has that same pathway, but I don't believe in pandering. And I think that you will find people who appreciate what you do. And if someone wants you to make changes to your work, then you have identified your homework, as Shantae says. You have to make that choice. Like, are they right? Sometimes criticism is good. You're like, oh, that's actually a good point. Hadn't thought about that. And sometimes they're like, well, can you just cover your tits up some more? I'm like, no.
That's
just
a hard
no.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. So how
Pure.
like,
I wasn't sure.
yeah, pure.
I wasn't sure on that one.
It is interesting though. It's such a tricky one. And I mean, I think there are so few people who can sort of keep it pure, but maybe that's not the goal. Like maybe it's finding that blend that works for you, you know, because we are living in this world and we are needing to pay rent and we are needing to do these things. But I don't know. I mean, I sort of always separated everything into different corners and was like, my music's over here and then this is over here and this is here. But then that became a little bit stifling as well. And that became like tricky. And I needed, you know, I started feeling like I needed to put timelines around, you know, I'll do my music on a Saturday. And then it was like, well, I might not have the emotions to fulfill that need to do that on a Saturday. It needs to be able to flow every single day. And business and commerce is a part of most of our days. So it's an interesting topic anyway. Like that's, yeah, it's a tricky one for sure. So glad to know it's not just me.
It's definitely not just you. And if we have supportive systems in our lives, like you said, like creating art on a Saturday and working the rest of the week, that's a system, but it didn't work for you because you've already worked all week by the time Saturday comes around and you show up needing to like wring out your soul and see what comes out in the wash, and there's nothing there because your energy's not been replenished. So that's an example of an unsupportive system. And then you're talking about it needs to flow every day. Well, how can we create a system where it's allowed to flow every day? There's time and space around it to flow every day, and there's systems in place to make sure you're paying your water bill as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because
it's just the artistic systems don't get any attention most of the time.
And that's true. And that's probably the main point, is to just, you know, we understand that we do have to have those different elements, but to not keep putting the lid on the artistic side, especially when divine inspiration strikes and you're going, yeah, but I've got to finish this email. It's like, can the email wait? Can we just like write some voice memos, or at least like encapsulate this divine inspiration that's just come through, because it's chosen me at this time, and I don't want to say, hey, great idea, universe, but like, let me just put you on hold, and I'll get back to you when it suits. Oh gosh, it's such a ride, isn't it? So many emotions. It's so beautiful, so ugly, all the things.
Send the muse back to the waiting room.
Yeah. I'll create some theme music for you. Oh gosh. So when you have so many talents, like, you know, I was saying briefly about how I struggle sometimes because there are so many different things I love to do, and that's something that drew me to you. Like, how do you choose what to focus on? What if you start a project and you're like, I'm going to do some aerial art, I'm going to, you know, really do a performance, and I'm going to create this show, and then halfway through that you start getting inspiration to do something completely different? Like, what do you do in those sorts of scenarios?
I follow my nose. Yeah, I definitely follow my nose. I'm like, oh, are we going over there? Oh, okay. Then we're going over there.
So you really just listen.
Because, yeah, I trust my instincts. But can I change the language of the question a little bit?
For sure.
I am not talented. I am not talented.
What are you talking
I have some emotional talents. I am hardworking. I have discipline, and I have a long history. Oh, it's the application of time that gave me that. It's the reps. Yeah. I have a small talent for writing. I have small talents, but yeah, I don't consider myself a very talented person. I have emotional talents and some other small talents, but I think it would be amazing to be talented, but it also kind of seems like it sucks because if things come easy to you, I've had immensely talented collaborators and I'm like, oh, you don't know how to struggle through this moment because you haven't had to do it yet. Oh, I see what's happening. Okay. Would you just come with me?
Yes.
It's gonna be fine.
That is such a good point.
Oh, it seems like a double-edged sword.
It's so true. And I mean, I have been someone in my life who, when I try something new, I usually pick it up pretty quickly. And it's usually in the creative fields or in sporting, like those two areas. It seems to be like natural abilities in certain things. However, there are some things like guitar and piano that you need to put in the reps. There's no two ways about it. You're not just going to jump on and instantly be bam good. So because I have gotten so used to, it's exactly like you're saying, I got so used to, oh, I could do this. Oh yeah, that's quite easy. Oh yeah, that's quite easy. It doesn't have that same, I don't have that same passion and fire for it because I didn't fight for it. And I sort of take those things for granted, but it also made those moments where I had to put in the reps, me going, well, I don't want to. And for so much of my life, I'm 36 now, and I'm only just now this year, I have the patience finally and the understanding that I want to learn guitar and piano. I need to put in the work. And it's taken so long for me to calm myself down and go, yeah, it's going to suck. Yeah, it's going to be boring. It's going to be repetitive. And it's going to be that again today. And it's going to be that again today. But I am seeing these like little bits of progress and I'm going, oh my gosh, like it's so fulfilling knowing that I have done the work and I have achieved this thing. So yeah, I feel you on that one. That's so true.
I did listen to your single. It was very sexy.
Oh,
Love the bass line.
I know, right? The bass was so good.
I could see an aerial hoop solo to this.
Ooh,
very easily.
Do that, please. That would be amazing. And how funny is it? The song's called Expectations.
It's true.
I had to write that one because I was like, there's just so many of these floating around in my world. Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far and getting a lot of value out of it. I'd love to ask you to take just a couple of seconds to rate and subscribe to this channel. Once you do that, take a screenshot, let me see that subscribe button hit and the rating, DM that to me on Instagram at Trujectory, one word, and I have a gift for you. I'm going to send you a link that's going to lead you to some digital artwork. These are pieces that are all original photography. I've gone out in nature and taken some beautiful shots. I've got some quotes over the top. I've got some affirmations. And these are pieces that you can blow up to any size that you wish and hang them around your home or your office. And they're going to keep you in a positive mental headspace at all times. Whenever you look at them, they're really calming, beautiful pieces. So thank you so much in advance for rating and subscribing. I really appreciate your support. It's going to help us get these messages out to a larger audience. And I want this space to be somewhere that you can come every single week to be supported, to be motivated, to be inspired, to be reminded that you can create the life that you choose. And all of the beautiful guests that I have on every week are examples of just that. So thank you in advance. I've got so much love for you. Stay true, and I'll see you soon. So let's tap onto the physical a little bit. So when it comes to the physical, because you do quite a lot of physical work, right? Am I right on that? Or was that more your past and you're doing more?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So do you ever experience burnout? And if you do, what do you sort of do to get yourself physically primed? Do you have like non-negotiable ritual every day to keep yourself healthy, to make sure that you're always in prime condition to perform? What are those?
Oh, I'm definitely not always in prime condition to perform. It's very seasonal. Seasonality
When it's needed.
is a theme. Yeah. When it's needed. I do have some rituals that are non-negotiable. I do morning pages every morning.
Beautiful.
Morning. And I have done so for a decade now, since 2014. I drink a lot of water. I really love food. I don't do hungry. Ever. I eat a lot of protein, make sure to get a lot of that in, and exercise, which I this is killing me because I've just had a small hernia repair surgery, my abdomen. So I'm not able to lift anything heavier than 15 pounds for 6 weeks. And I miss it so much. Just, I love picking up heavy things and putting them down again. And I like having as much muscle on my body as I can put there. I will.
Oh, wow.
Because I believe that's the fountain of youth. And just feels good.
Yeah, definitely. I've only just started being a healthy, fit, working out person. You can tell how new I am to the game. A fit, working out person. Someone who frequents the gym, and it's changed everything. It really is like, oh my gosh, I feel so much younger now than I ever have. It's so crazy.
I love it. It's great. And it's some alone time, which, as we have discussed, is very important.
Yes.
Burnout is a very common problem that my people come to me with, and I've certainly had it before as well. And the thing is, recovering from burnout once you get there really takes a long time because your nervous system is fucked. Can I say fuck?
Oh, fucking course you can.
Fucking course I can. Okay. Your nervous system is so fucked, and that doesn't just like bounce back. You know, then it takes, once you get to that point, it takes a long time to build yourself back up to a healthy equilibrium. So this is one instance in particular where prevention is really the way to go, and prevention is boundaries of steel.
Yes. So where were you 3 years ago for me? Because I am the poster child of
right here.
Honestly, I was like the poster child of everything you just said. I burnt myself out to that degree that my body started having seizures out of nowhere. They started, and my entire system. So for 3.5 years, it was not much movement. Basically, I can't drive anymore. Entire life shift. Really had to force myself to look at all of the things I was eating, all of the ways I was looking after myself, every little part of my life, of my self-care routine, and just my health in general had to come into focus. And so obviously now I'm like, this was the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, because it's forced me to be this, person who really genuinely cares and looks after myself. But I hope people don't have to get to that point. So like you're saying, preempting it and making sure that everything is sort of sorted in advance, not waiting for that moment for your body and nervous system to go, all right, we're out. You're not listening at all. Like, we're taking over. Not great.
And you're actually like pretty young to have made that realization. I think most people don't learn the language of like, oh, I need to stop now. Until they're in their 40s.
Yeah, it's so true. There's people that I work with even that are in their 50s and above, and they run faster than, like, not literally run, but they move and they act and they're just constantly go more than I was 20 years ago. And I'm looking at them going, how is your body still? Oh my gosh, I've just got my fingers crossed for you. Stick in there, like, calm down. But like, if you're gonna keep going at this pace, like, I don't know, maybe you need to be studied, because this is just incredible.
Well, welcome back. I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Thank
that sounds
you.
like a life-changing situation you went through.
It really was. I call it my initiation. I've had a few, but this was the ultimate, because it was like one of those things that I came out the other side completely different, and I would never be here without it. So it was, my greatest teacher, really. So, yeah. All the bad things become good things in the end. It's great. We just need time. And now I get to turn it into
They're all
art.
good teachers.
Yeah, exactly. So when it comes to, art, we're quite vulnerable. So how have you built your resistance with people not necessarily resonating with your work? Have you had a lot of experience with that, or have you sort of been that magical child who's always surrounded herself with solid fans? Because I know I certainly haven't. I've always had people going, why are you doing that thing? Why are you rapping? Like, that's so weird. And there have been times where it's made me question myself, but it's ultimately, helped me to become a little bit more resilient. So what's your experience with that?
If I'm honest, I tend to be surrounded by people, and I'm like, I don't know how lucky I am to have such supportive people around me. I am absolutely certain that people have hated my work, but they don't tell me about it. They don't tell me about it. So, yay. I'm glad. At some point, I have heard and I agree that like someone should hate your work. If it appeals to everyone, then you're not taking any risks and you're probably just people pleasing in disguise, right? So, like, I don't want to have someone rant and rave at me, but I also think that people aren't very inclined to criticize artists' work when you do something like what I do. I mean, if it's a famous artist and they're a celebrity, oh yeah, they'll be raked over the coals daily as though they're not a human being. But it's different when the person is right in front of you, and that's generally where I am. I have had people just not like me. That's happened before. And mostly I'm just like, okay,
Here's what it is.
we're not going to be hanging out.
Yeah.
Then. That's cool.
Yeah.
If it's not right for you, it's not right for me. And I don't want to be anywhere where I have to fight to be valued. I don't think that there is value in that struggle. And I've been in places where I thought that was my job. I'm like, no, I just have to push harder and like show how good I am. And I was great. And they never came around. So when people are describing a situation to me, like, it sounds like you feel like you're being disrespected basically on a daily basis. And they're like, yeah, I do feel that way. Like, then you are. You should go do something else. Like, so like, I don't really have to deal with haters very much because I go to places where people want me to be.
Fantastic. And I mean, I think that's the key. And it, you know, comes back to that people pleaser side. It's only when you're really people pleasing and you've got a void inside you that you haven't filled for yourself yet that you're seeking all of this external validation and for everyone to like you. And if someone doesn't like me, that means this or this. And the more you heal, the more you go, that's cool. It's got nothing to do with me. That's all good. And like, thank you for being the one to cull you out of my world. I didn't have to do it. It's fantastic. It's like, save me time.
So convenient.
Thanks, bro. Yeah. So have you found for yourself, like you're helping people with their imposter syndrome and people pleasing and everything, have you found any particular limiting belief for yourself that you really like locked in on and overcame? Has there been like one really loud
this is
one?
So interesting.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of the fact that I am the antithesis of a perfectionist, right?
Love
Like,
that.
I am very happy to be like, yep, that's good enough. Let's do it, post it.
Yep.
Post the post, sing the song, perform the act. It's good. We're there. Because I don't like over preparation anyway. It bores me.
I love that.
So I'm like, I don't have any of these perfectionist tendencies that I see people going to war with. Isn't that great? And then I was talking to my therapist. And she was like, I think I hear some perfectionist tendencies. And I'm like, oh, no. Listen to, these are the reasons that I don't have those. She's like, yes, around your artwork. I agree that when it comes to art making and presenting said art and marketing said art, you don't have perfectionist tendencies. I'm talking about the rest of your life. And I was like, you are so rude.
How dare you? We're not talking about that.
How dare you? And that was, I don't know, like a month and a half ago. So I've been keeping that in my mind and looking around and being like, there it is. I saw it. Did you see it? Did you see it just now?
Oh my gosh.
And that's really part of the whole thing is it's just becoming aware of it. And when I tell people to become aware of it, and they're like, yes. And then when I notice it happening, I can kill it with fire. I'm like, no, you won't kill it with fire. That's part of you. The objective is not to kill it with fire. It's just to notice that it's happening. You've won. That's literally it. Just notice it. Massive victory. So, guess who's taking their own advice? Yeah.
I love that though. There's got to be some part of that in you that is, that resonance with your clients, That's good to know. You've got the artistic side sorted So that's why you can help them so much, but it's also why you can relate with them so much and understand them and really get to their level, because there might be these tendencies in the other areas of your life. But awareness, hey, isn't that so crazy?
How about it?
It's like,
surprise.
and when you look back and sort of realize, I mean, for me, I can only speak for myself, I'd say for probably 29 years of my life, I thought that I was so aware. I remember this one day I was walking to film school. I'll never forget this, because even at the time I remember thinking, this is a bit bold to think, but I feel like it's true. And I genuinely thought to myself, I'm cooked. I'm done. Like, I know all the things that I'm ever going to need to know. I know that I do. And I just, like, when I look back now, I'm like, oh my gosh, darling, like, how are you there at the same time as being a people pleaser, at the same time as being an artist and, you know, running a business and all of these other things, like, but I had all the answers apparently. And it was just like this cute little moment that just sticks in my mind. And I'm like, wow, how different, you know, seasons of our life can be. And then I started from scratch.
Seasonality, baby.
Yeah.
I love that you remember that so clearly.
Oh my gosh. It was just, yeah. Because I remember at the time thinking, wow, is this real? Oh my gosh, this is huge. Yes, it is true. Yes. Anyways, so talking about bigger picture a little bit. If you had the opportunity to place, let's say, 2 new topics or things into the school curriculum, what would they be? What do you want kids to learn younger? What do you wish they were able to learn younger? Could be anything.
Can I have 3 things?
Of course you can. We're building a school here. Let's do it.
Yeah. I would bring home ec back.
Mm-hmm.
People be like grown-ass people, don't know how to do their laundry, don't know how to feed themselves, and it can be very dysfunctional and harm their lives.
Yeah.
And I would basic taxes.
Honestly, that's one of mine. Thank you. That is like, I'm still struggling with that. Let's not talk about that.
I can play 3 Blind Mice on the recorder, but I didn't know shit about taxes.
Yep.
I do now. That and an automotive repair, basic automotive repair.
Oh, that's a fantastic one as well. Yes.
These are the things.
These are the things.
That's what I would do.
This is game-changing stuff, but honestly, it's like we spend a lot of time on pointless things that we really will never use in our lives when we're in school. And yeah, these sorts of things. And they're more fun as well, especially like the home ec side of things, and you do some cooking and some washing and all those sorts of things. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, as being an adult and learning those things, it's embarrassing.
And that's why I think
like
a lot
you
of
don't
people
want to ask for help.
Yeah, they just avoid it and go, I just am not going to know that thing. And it's like, you know what it is? It's actually, I've noticed this a lot lately I love Queer Eye. It's like my favorite show, like having 5 guys who have like overcome their own adversity, and then they have their own superpowers and they go and completely heal a person, like one at a time. It's just like, there's so many fantastic elements to that show. But I notice like how many people that they're working with are like, I don't know how to cook. I don't even understand what to do when I go to a grocery store. It's so overwhelming when I see all the fruits and veggies and I go, how do people know what to do with this? And I just think, whoa, yeah, there would be so many people who have never been taught that. Like, I was lucky enough to have my mum always cooking, and I was always really eager to learn. So I was always in the kitchen, but there would be many, many people who would be like, what is an artichoke? What is an avocado? Like, what do these things do? How do I do it?
They're right. It is overwhelming. It's suddenly this whole language. And it's kind of easy to avoid, but it's expensive. Yes. Literally and figuratively expensive to not know. So yeah, I would bring back home ec faux show.
I love that. So if you had one thing with this, we've got the final question here, and then I've got my final 3. I always have the same final 3 for all of my guests, but this is our last one before that. So if you had to choose one thing only that you wanted to be remembered for, what would that be?
Oh, I had such a time with this question. I had to like leave the room, I cooked a meal. I went out to like my dad's place back there and like put some dishes away. Like,
got into some home ec.
This question
love it.
followed me around because the answer the true answer is that I would want to be remembered for the book that I haven't written yet.
Amazing. I love that.
So I guess I've identified my homework.
Yeah. Well, it's been placed out there now. It's happening. It's coming.
What about you? What's your answer?
I really think I would just want to be known as a student. I just want to be known as constant learning, because like I said, for so long in my life, I just kind of picked things up really quickly and went, yeah, life is easy. Yeah, all good. Skim over here and skim over here. And I didn't go deeper. And then I had a bit of a late spiritual awakening. So that entire side of me, understanding, all of those bigger questions, and, not to say that I understand, I'm not going down that path again. I understand it all. I certainly don't. And that's the point. I'm actually very glad and proud that I don't understand it, but I have such a hunger. It's like insatiable to just continue to learn. I'm constantly, every spare moment that I haven't identified as needing a little bit of a pause is just spent researching, studying, listening to audiobooks, reading, meditating, and just going deeper. And I am so fascinated with the human body as a biocomputer that is just ready to be reprogrammed in any way that we want. And I want to be able to program myself to do all the things I want to do that are fun for me. Like, right now it's guitar and piano. And I know that that's already happened. I know that I'm going to keep doing it. And I know that when I look back, I'm going to be blowing my own mind going, I couldn't do this thing for 36 years. I kept telling myself that I couldn't do this. And then just putting in the time, having a bit of passion behind it to keep that fire going, anything is possible. And it's just that. Like, I just love that anything is possible sort of vibe if you're willing to just be a student. You don't have to be the smartest one in the room. In fact, that's very crippling and stifling. And I lived that way for a long time thinking, I don't want to look silly, or I don't want to look stupid. That was a big part of what held me up from doing this podcast for 7 years. I wanted to do it for 7 years and kept holding myself back. So I was like, what if someone makes me look stupid? I'm like, well, it's likely going to happen because I don't know everything. That's okay.
That is literally what I tell people. Like, you're going to look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's congratulations.
Yeah. It's
and
so
my friend
true.
Eve Diamond, she would always say, the secret to getting work is to raise your hand and be first on the idiot ride. Be like,
yes.
I'm in.
Yes.
I'm in. I want on the idiot ride.
That's the thing. Yeah.
If you can leave your hubris at the door, you're going to have so much more fun.
Be willing to fail. Like, that's the thing that keeps coming up for me a lot lately, is that, failure for so many of us is sort of looked at as the opposite of success, but it's part of it. It's the most important part of it. It's like, it's not separate. It's like thinking about courage and vulnerability as two opposite ends of the spectrum. They're the same thing. You have to be extremely courageous to be vulnerable. So I just, all of these different ways that we've been taught for so long is like, that's what fascinates me right now. And I just want to create art and create things based on the fascination and complete love and awe of humanity, and the way that we are. So I don't know if that actually answers the question, but
it does. Yeah,
be the student.
Totally. Yeah. Be the student.
Amazing. So, final 3 questions. I love this one. This one is probably my favorite of all the questions, because we're so, readily available to offer praise to other people. We're always sort of looking at others going, oh, they're so great at this. They're so great at this. How often do we look at ourselves and go, oh, that's a quality that's really fantastic about me, and pat on the back. So what are 3 qualities? This is our Rachel Strickland praise hype moment. What are 3 qualities that you really like about yourself?
I love my tunnel vision.
Oh,
it's very irritating to other people.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And I completely understand why. Like, I have very annoying things that I do. People that I love are like, you're doing it again. I'm like, yeah, sorry, it'll happen again. But it allows me to make the work that I make. I also like my silliness.
Beautiful.
And I am very quixotic.
Quixotic.
Quixotic. It means
teach me.
Dreamy.
What is that? Oh.
It's from Don Quixote. So, and Don Quixote, honestly, I never fucking read it. Okay, but he's like this whimsical, dreamy character.
Yeah.
I looked up the word a long time ago when I asked someone, how would you describe me? Just you only have one word. And without hesitating, he said quixotic. He was a writer. Okay, no, is still a writer. No surprise there, which was funny because at the beginning of this podcast, when you pointed out that I have a logical brain, I almost started laughing because like no one's ever said that about me. It's true. I do have that.
It's there somewhere.
It's very refreshing. Like, I mean, yeah, I'm a business coach. I have a logical brain, but also I make this face.
Yeah, but I love that. I think that's such a superpower as well, like the playfulness. That's something that we leave behind so quickly. And why are we always drawn to the energy of children? Why did like that instantly turns us into children, right? I love seeing adults, especially really serious adults, around a child, like, oh, hello, how are you doing? What's going on? And they just start playing, and then they just feel so good, and you see them smiling, and it's like this just awe. You know what I mean? Like this magic fascination with everything. And I love that. Like I want to embody that at all times. Play, more passion, more play. Let's learn from the kids. They are really our teachers. Like it's always said.
Play is very underrated. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because you don't look good when you're playing. Like you look like an idiot. You look stupid. Like that's where failure happens. And I knew a writer anyway, a story that I don't remember where it came from, but there's a writer watching a room full of dancers try to figure out something, and they're like bumping into each other and like laughing and whoop, eat dirt, roll on the floor, shake it off, try again. And he's like, y'all are just playing. I don't do that. And they said, you should probably play some. So then he started like, how do you play in writing? Well, that's a great question. Can we get curious about that? How do you play? How can you purposefully look like an idiot?
Yeah, seriously. But again, that's such a quick route to where you actually want to go. Like, and I love the idea of play because it's doing the act without needing the outcome, without needing a tangible result, just doing it for doing it. You know what I mean? And let's just see what happens. Like, let's not come in here going, all right, guys, we got 2 hours. We're going to create this. We're going to create this. What about, hey, how you doing? Want to play? Like, what would that look like? It'd be so cute and weird and awesome.
Exactly.
And just uncomfortable, which is great. Let's get out of these comfort zones. They're getting boring. So what is your definition of living in your purpose?
When I was thinking about this, and like the definition that I have is more like my definition of success. Mm-hmm. Which is to wake up excited to continue what I was doing the day before.
I love that.
So I'm going to stick with that.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. Because the purpose is going to, I don't know, change. It seems to have changed somewhat. I'm 41. And I'm not the same creature I was a decade ago. So if I was still living by that purpose and what I believed that to be, then I'd probably be very miserable right now. Mm-hmm. So just beautiful. Follow your nose. Be like, what's fascinating to me today?
Yeah. And I mean, that's got that beautiful element of play in there as well. That fascination and exploration, just sort of like, oh, what feels good? Let's go this way. Let's stop going in the ways that feel bad. It kind of doesn't work for me. And yet most people do that every single day. And they've just done it for so long that they think that that's normal. And it's like, wow, I could just do what I want to do. Okay, interesting.
I could just do what I want.
Even just starting small, it's huge. That's a beautiful explanation. I really like that. So final question, my friend. Advice for anyone who's stuck in a job. So this is what this whole podcast is about. It's for people who are still in the job. You know what I mean when I say the job, where they have a dream. Yeah. And they just haven't quite started to really back themselves and believe in themselves to take that step to really get into the field they want to get into, to create the product they want to create, whatever it might be. What would your advice be for them as their first step?
I have like 10 steps.
I was going to say it's hard because, there's probably, if you want to give me 2 or 3, that's fine. I'm sure they would appreciate it.
Okay. So the answer really varies according to personality. Some people respond well to urgency, And they're like, I'm dying. My soul is being sucked from my body. I'm like, you should quit your job. You should go work at Walmart or literally anything other than what you're doing. If your soul is being sucked from your body, you need to quit your job. There are other jobs and other ways to make money. There's no excuse. Just fucking quit. But if urgency does not sit well with a person, and I completely understand why, because financial security is a thing, then you can take matters now to get your shit together and get paid by your job while you're doing that. Other ways to approach it are to save up 6 months to a year. I would recommend a year of living expenses, and then quit. Have a plan. Get help. Get coaching. But yeah, if your job is sucking the soul out of your body, you should not do that job. Please don't do that job.
Yeah. Seriously. You don't know how much it's sucking your soul until you really get out of it and you look back and you go, whoa, how did I last that long? But I love that you've given both the different scenarios, because there are those scenarios where it's just gotten so bad that they're literally like really struggling to get out of bed in the morning. And that's when it's like, if you're going to just do this thing, if you're only doing it for money, then find another way to make money. Just like you said, go to Walmart, go to here, we've got Kmart, like go somewhere that's just for money and like lighten it up a bit. But for some people, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't even think about quitting right now. I need to, this is the best it's going to get in this field before I go into this other thing. So having that balance. But like you said, you can start to do things there are quite a few hours in the day, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it. You can start to plant these little seeds and put in the reps, right? Little baby habits every day.
Yeah. And the good thing about having a job, let's assume that it's not like one of the soul-sucking ones, right?
Yep.
Like not totally making a person miserable. It's just not what they would prefer.
Yeah.
That will fund you to learn everything that you can about your new venture. Go on retreats. Go train with that coach on the other side of the world. Go to an intensive, let it fund you. It's funding the creative research and development for the next chapter. They just don't know it.
Yeah, exactly. And that changes the whole energy of it anyway. And it makes it feel like, no, this job's working for me now. I'm not working for it. It's great.
Right. Yeah.
I love that. Well, my dear, I'm so grateful for your time and I've really loved chatting with you. How can people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
Oh, there's so many ways, Sarah. I'm very easy to find. Yeah, I'm on Instagram. I have a website. You can contact me there. I'm on Patreon, and Facebook. I don't know. I'm fucking everywhere.
All the things.
Come
I'm on
say
some
hi.
platforms.
I'm all the things.
Amazing. Well, I will definitely include some links in the show notes so people can follow your journey. But thank you again for your time. I appreciate our chat, and I just appreciate feeling just comforted by a lot of what you've said, and that a lot of things I resonate with, because I've sort of, I am a creative, but I'm also often in the other side of life as well, more in business world. And it's just really nice to hear about other people's experiences, and we all got each other. We're all going through the same sort of shit.
It's so nice to talk to you, Sarah. You're doing amazing work. Please continue. I know you will.
I so will.